everyone. Welcome back to... Let me restart that. I'm obviously live on YouTube. Didn't play record yet on my app, Anchor. So let's do it right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Big Donch Podcast. That should work. First time doing a live stream with the podcast. Did live streams before on this channel with my full game series, which I absolutely enjoyed. Okay, I loved doing that. That was... the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, and then I did the Super Bowl. That was absolutely fun. Love doing that. Definitely going to be doing that a lot with the football games coming up this year. Wanted to include some basketball games this year, but just have no time with the summer with working and training and things like that. So yes, I am live streaming the podcast today. If you're watching on YouTube, I do post the podcast right up to Anchor and Spotify. So right now, I'm just going to make sure everything's working right now. I do have a viewer, which is pretty cool, right off the bat. But yeah, today we're talking Julio Jones, a big trade to the Tennessee Titans, making them, though, the second best wide receiver duo in the league, which I'll touch on. Then we'll talk about the playoffs still. Then we'll talk about some NBA star players. Sorry, I'm pausing a bit. I'm trying to change my thumbnail real quick. I don't know how. Here we go. Photos. There we go. Maybe I should do this a little bit earlier instead of late. So let's do this right now. A bit sloppy on my end. I apologize. Where is it? Let's see. Let's see if I could airdrop it to my MacBook. That's what I'll do. Because it is a podcast. Obviously, things are unedited. So I have a little bit more freedom. Did it please tell me it airdropped so I can get this thumbnail rolling and I can stop stuttering and focus on the podcast. That should do it. Alright, let me just save. I'm not even going to waste my time for tags. Let me just save this quick. From now on, I will do this beforehand. Sorry for holding people up on Spotify too. Alrighty, so have everything rolling. So let's get into this video. Now, like I mentioned, Julio Jones to the Titans. I'm going to talk about who's the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. And I'm going to talk about my thoughts on Ryan Tannehill, because obviously Julio Jones said he wants a big arm quarterback, and Ryan Tannehill, even though he's a good quarterback, not a big, strong arm quarterback like other QBs in the league. Then we're going to shift over to NBA and talk about Jokic winning the MVP. We're going to talk about my favorite team, the Sixers, and their playoff situation, the Nets and their playoff situation, and then Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz. No really conversations on the MLB today. Not much news going on. Not really following the MLB. Usually I go into a slump after the first couple of weeks of the MLB season. I usually follow really strongly, but then I'll start to shade away from it because usually NBA playoffs are happening and things like that. Then we'll talk about my thoughts on the boxing world. I'm going to include that because obviously Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul the other day, not the best fight out there, especially for the boxing world right now. Kind of embarrassing for the boxing world. But I'm just going to give my thoughts on the future and what I have to think. But I want to shout out to, I don't want to mispronounce that name, so whoever's in the chat saying what's up, hello, thank you for tuning in. So let's start off with Julio Jones, okay? Probably when he was prime, I was going to say the best wide receiver of all time. That's not it. I'm sorry, not of all time, in the league. Best wide receiver in the league when he was in his prime was Julio Jones. I keep messing up. The best wide receiver in the league when Julio Jones was in his prime was Antonio Brown. Okay, I think a prime Antonio Brown and a prime Julio Jones, I'm picking a prime Antonio Brown. That's not even me trying to be a biased Steelers fan. I truly mean that. But Julio Jones obviously was the second and a top 3 wide receiver in the league for years, okay? So he has, let's see how many 1,000-yard receiving yards he has over the past, basically his whole career. He's been in the league for about 9 years. I think this will be his 10th year. He is a 7-time Pro Bowl, 2-time All-Pro, Hall of Fame All-2010 team, and then obviously doesn't have a Super Bowl ring because everybody knows what happened, which sucks. But let's look at the past season. Didn't play much because of injuries, only played 9 games, but still put up a decent amount of yards, 771 yards and 3 touchdowns, but had 6 straight 1,000-yard games. Can never get into the double-digit touchdowns. His sophomore year, though, he did, putting up 1,198 yards with 10 touchdowns. So not the best touchdown wide receiver, but great on yards, basically unguardable. Never really knew why he couldn't score touchdowns. Like, let's see this. 2017, played all 16 games, had 1,444 yards, and only 3 touchdowns. So, I don't know. I don't really watch the Falcons. I don't watch Julio Jones that much to, obviously, talk about why. Obviously, I watch his highlights. I know how good he is. But I don't know. If anybody could explain about that, that'd be really appreciated. So, let's shift over now. Is Julio Jones the best fit for the Titans? I think so. I think the Titans could be a problem. They have to step up their defense, though. They don't have the best defensive weapons. I heard they're targeting Richard Sherman, which I think could be good. A good veteran defensive player. Excuse me. A good veteran defensive player for them. And I think that'd be good, depending on how much money, though, Sherman will want. But on the offensive side, okay, I'm going to talk about Ryan Tannehill in a minute, but Derrick Henry, top 3 running back in the league, definitely was the best running back in the league last year. But now that Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley coming back, and Nick Chubb coming off an amazing year, same thing with Dalvin Cook and Kamara, it could be a toss-up. I still have Derrick Henry in top 3, though, but not saying he's number 1. Ryan Tannehill now, okay? I say he's about top 15 quarterback, all right? And I know that's not the best, okay, top 15, that's not insanely good, but that's still good. All right, we look at Ryan Tannehill's highlights over the past 2 years that he was on the Titans. Last year, he made the Pro Bowl. Only played half the season. So let me look up Ryan Tannehill quick on Pro Football Reference. So yeah, he made the Pro Bowl last year and also Comeback Player of the Year. Only played 10 games, only started 10 games last year, putting up 2,742 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. A very accurate quarterback. This past year, I think he could have made Pro Bowl as well. 3,819 yards with 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Okay, very accurate quarterback. Doesn't turn the ball over much. Compared to when he was younger in his Miami days, turned the ball over a little bit more. Every year he had double-digit interceptions besides his last year in Miami, which was 9 interceptions but only playing 11 games. But this past year, he played better than he was his first year in Tennessee, so I was definitely surprised he didn't make the Pro Bowl. But obviously in the AFC, you had Deshaun Watson, you had Josh Allen, and you had Patrick Mahomes. So obviously that's not the best conference to be in to make the Pro Bowl for quarterback-wise. Let's see what he put on the ground, too. 266 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground, too. Come on now. Ryan Tannehill deserves the respect. This is coming from a Steeler fan. Very accurate quarterback. And he does have a decent arm. I mean, maybe he'll work on it this year. Obviously, if they have a threat like Julio Jones, he has no choice but to work on it. But, yeah. Tennessee Titans can be a problem on offense. Their biggest problem is their defense. We'll just have to see. Falcons, not too worried. I mean, I forget what they got for Julio Jones, but they still have Calvin Ridley, who's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. He could have been a number 1 wide receiver last year as well. And then their new tight end from Florida, which I always keep forgetting his name. Why is that? But anyway, you know who I'm talking about. 2 great options. Matt Ryan, still playing good. I mean, obviously not his prime, not his MVP self, but still playing amazing. Still could be a quarterback that could lead them to the playoffs and even to the Super Bowl again. So, that is my thoughts in the NFL. Obviously in the offseason, not much going on. Now that everything basically, all the big players signed and got traded and stuff like that. Next week I'll definitely talk about like who's available now, like who's a free agent and all, because there's some pretty decent free agents out right now that are not signed, surprisingly. But let's shift over to the NBA. Yesterday, some big news. Jokic winning the MVP. Happy for him. A lot of people are saying that Steph Curry deserved MVP. Now, while Steph Curry did play an amazing year, his team wasn't the best, okay? Obviously, he was carrying the team. But it's one thing to carry a team and carry a team to a playoff and win in the playoffs, which he couldn't do. It sucks, but he just couldn't do it. And not his fault, obviously. If he had probably a player like Klay Thompson again and he was playing like that, obviously the Warriors would win and he'd probably be MVP. But Jokic, all right, he loses Jamal Murray. All right, the second best player on the Nuggets, but he still's carrying to the second round in the playoffs. Obviously, postseason doesn't matter, but I'm pretty sure the Nuggets were the third seed this year, which is obviously better than the Warriors. And obviously, look at the stat line: 26 points, 1 steal, 0.7 block, 10 rebounds, and then 8.3 assists. All right, that stat line for a center. Okay, a center is absolutely insane. Well deserving. Looking over his past couple of years as well, 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, and things like that. So, definitely impressive. Definitely well deserving. I don't know if they did Defensive Player of the Year yet. Let's see quick. I'm trying to check Streamlabs real quick. I don't know. Can I mute myself on here? If I have to. Yes, I could. Sorry, sloppy today. I've been saying sloppy for a while on this podcast. Maybe because I'm figuring stuff out. It's my 9th episode, and I'm just trying to figure stuff out. Doing this for fun, though. Things I gotta work on real quick, though. Okay? Talking without stuttering a lot. And 2, just posting better quality. Obviously, the quality on my phone, posting up to Spotify, good quality. Obviously, I just gotta work on speaking abilities and just being prepared more. Obviously, I wasn't prepared with this because it's my first time live streaming on this podcast series. So, obviously, gotta set that up better. But, yeah, not too worried about it. Doing this podcast for fun. Just gotta get the viewers up more, though. Obviously, get the viewers up more by making better quality podcasts. So, gotta worry about making that first and then worrying about viewers. But, Jokic winning MVP. 6th man, don't know who it was. Most improved player was Julius Randle. Definitely deserved. Coach of the Year, Thibodeau from New York Knicks. Deserved. Change in the Knicks organization. They were terrible for years. So, changing their whole organization, definitely well deserved. Defensive Player of the Year, I don't know if that's announced yet. My opinion could be up between Gobert again or Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is a great defender. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know with that one. Just going to have to wait and see. But that is my single player talks on the MVP awards and stuff like that. I'll touch more on it next week when defensive player is announced. I'm pretty sure defensive player of the year is not announced. If it is, I'll be shocked. But I didn't see anything about it yet. Anyway, I also thought that, though, with the NBA, they had an NBA award. Did they cancel that this year because of COVID or what? Because, they're just announcing stuff randomly, and, I don't know. I don't know what's official, what's not. Obviously, this is official, though, but, I always remember them having awards and stuff like that. So, I'm a bit surprised. That's different this year. I'll have to look into that again. But, playoffs are going on right now. Sixers are playing the Hawks, my favorite team, the Sixers. Denver is actually playing Phoenix tonight. Phoenix is the 2 seed. They're hot right now, beating the Lakers, kicking the Lakers out of the playoffs. LeBron James, not the GOAT, especially after walking off the court that one game. Sorry, don't mind me. Got allergies. But, yeah, LeBron James. A lot of people are saying he's going downhill after his injury. Could be. But let's see at the other matchups. The Brooklyn Nets are destroying the Bucks. And they didn't even have James Harden last game. They destroyed the Bucks. I don't know what's up with that. The Clippers are leading. The Jazz are leading the Clippers 1-0. The Nets were leading the Bucks 2-0. Then Philadelphia and Atlanta are tied up right now 1-1. I don't get how we lost that first game. The Sixers are a way better team than the Atlanta Hawks. Win or lose, we are just a better team. The Hawks just came prepared to win. The Hawks just came prepared to win that game, so nothing really we could do. I'm also looking at tickets right now, ticket prices right now. Look at this. Denver at Phoenix, Wednesday, June 9th. Tickets as low as $239. So that's today, so obviously ticket prices are going to be up. But Thursday, June 10th, at Milwaukee, $57. I'm trying to go to that. Utah Jazz, $83 was the lowest ticket. Philadelphia at Atlanta, $157. So obviously Atlanta cares a lot about the Hawks. Big fans, obviously, especially with the Hawks not being the best in playoffs past couple of years, so it's definitely rare to see that. And then Clippers again June 12th to $78, and then basically the prices keep going down. But those Sixers Hawks tickets, they're over $100 each. Anyway, get back to what I'm talking about. The Sixers. Talked about the Sixers. Talked about the Nets destroying teams. And the Sixers playing down a competition like usual. But I want to talk about Donovan Mitchell, okay? Been doubted a lot this year. People are saying he's not a top 5 shooting guard. And no matter what you think of him, he's getting a lot of hate. All right, he's playing amazing for the Jazz. Let's look at the Jazz past couple of games. Look at the box score of them. Let's look at the schedule. We'll go to schedule. A huge win over the Clippers. I mean, the Clippers are just not good. I mean, they have George and Kawhi, but they have nobody else. Now, obviously not to put down the Jazz. I'm just saying, like, the Clippers, they should be way better. But they're not. They're a little overrated in my opinion. They barely got past the Mavericks. I was rooting for the Mavericks. But Mitchell, 45 points on Tuesday, June 8th against the Clippers. Big reason why they won. I mean, they won by 3, 112 to 109. So definitely a big part of that. But Gobert and Mitchell, underrated duo. I mean, Gobert is probably the best. He is the best defending center in the league, and probably will maybe even win defensive player of the year. But he's very underrated, Gobert. Everybody hates him. People either don't talk about him at all, or when they do talk about him, it's hate. I mean, it's unnecessary. Obviously, he doesn't score the best, but honestly, the best defender in the league. And I don't know. I mean, when you have a great offensive player on the team like Mitchell, you don't really got to worry about Gobert, especially when he's having double-digit rebounds a game, a block, a steal, you know what I mean? He just keeps going. So Gobert very underrated. The whole Jazz team underrated. Don't know how they're going to do in playoffs, though. Obviously, they're winning now, but farther down the line, especially with the Western Conference Finals, if they make it, how could they last? I think they could make it to the finals. Depending on who makes it to the finals, along with the Jazz, that's something I'll have to debate and predict later on. But that is my talk for the NBA. Wrapping that up. Like I said, though, earlier, no talk on the MLB. Haven't been covering much. Definitely should get on that, though. And then, the fighting world. Okay? Mayweather versus Logan Paul the past weekend. Didn't get to catch it because I went camping. Okay? Actually pretty bummed. I mean, I don't know why I was bummed about it. It was Mayweather versus Logan Paul. I was rooting for Logan Paul, though. I usually root for the underdog in every fight. Obviously Logan Paul, I consider him annoying. Obviously he's annoying. But let me tell you about him. Marketing genius. Both him and Mayweather, marketing geniuses. Even the Jake Paul, too. Marketing geniuses. You could call him annoying, but thousands, millions still tune in to watch the fights. So, I mean, it's a marketing genius game there. But that's why I want to bring up my thoughts in the world of boxing. I'm a huge boxing fan. I got into boxing the past 2-3 years, and I love boxing. I box on my own, actually. I go to boxing. I watch boxing whenever I have the chance. Obviously, there hasn't been big fights lately. I mean, we had Canelo versus Saunders, but that wasn't really a big fight. I mean, everybody knew Canelo was going to win. Big fight, though, coming up with Wilder and Fury, which I'm excited for. Fury is my favorite in the game right now. I was looking for Joshua versus Fury, but we'll wait on that. But let me give my thoughts on the world of boxing. I'm not the biggest fan of all these celebrities and former athletes coming out to box and all. Like Chad Johnson on Sunday on the undercard for the Paul Mayweather fight. I mean, yeah, it's all fun and all, but like, they're ruining the game. They don't really care. It's not a game. Boxing's not a game. It's a fight. I mean, you don't play boxing. But, I mean, come on now. It's unnecessary what all these celebrities are doing, trying to get in there. I mean, Mayweather, obviously, he wanted the money. Paul, he wanted to raise his reputation, raise his marketing brand, raise his money. I mean, I'm starting to seem like these people don't really care about boxing. They just care about the money. And you can even see it in the pro boxers, right? You see all the great boxers in the world right now, like Devin Haney, Errol Spence, Crawford, even like just the lightweights. Usually the lightweights. The heavyweights are trying to get at it, all right? Joshua and Fury, they're trying to fight. Wilder and Fury, they're trying to fight. So I'm happy with the heavyweight game right now. Canelo, I mean, everyone's scared of Canelo basically. But the lightweight division, which I'm talking about, so many good lightweights, but nobody wants to fight. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was supposed to be Pacquiao versus Ryan Garcia a couple months ago. That just like disappeared. I do like that Pacquiao is fighting Spence though. Don't know who's going to win, honestly. That could go 50-50 either way. A lot of people are down Pacquiao because he's old and Spence is in his prime and young. And no, I mean, this could go either way. This is Manny Pacquiao we're talking about. This isn't no, like, random old dude who's been, losing his whole life. This is Manny Pacquiao, legend. This could go down to either one. But other than that, though, there's not much boxing. There's not much, energy, not much excitement through the boxing world, through the pro boxing world at least. It's basically getting overshadowed by the Paul brothers. Not the biggest fan, but we'll see. I'm excited though. UFC, I do like the UFC, but I just want to give my thoughts on the world of boxing. UFC has some big fights coming up. I'm excited to see Poirier versus McGregor. Big McGregor fan. Obviously losing the last match. Want to see him try to come back again in the next one. But that's going to wrap up the Big Donch Podcast. Today we talked about Julio Jones and the Titans. We talked about some wide receiver duels in the NFL. Thoughts on Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. And then we talked about some NBA. Jokic winning MVP. The Sixers, Nets, Jazz, and Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs. Didn't cover MLB today because I'm not catching up with the MLB lately, which I will be. And then Fighting World. We talked about Mayweather versus... Alright, actually, hold on. I just got a notification right now. Rudy Gobert wins third Defensive Player of the Year. Kind of upset that Ben Simmons didn't win it, but like I was just mentioning in this live stream, Rudy Gobert, best defender in the league. That just proves my point. Anyway, let's continue the conclusion. We talked about Mayweather and Logan Paul, sloppy fight over the past weekend, and just talking about the celebrities and how they're ruining the reputation of boxing. And there's my overall thoughts on the world of boxing and how the best in the world don't want to fight each other. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Sorry it was sloppy again. I was live streaming on YouTube. I'm going to do that from now on though. But it's going to be well prepared. It's going to be way better. And it's going to be a better quality podcast for you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe on my YouTube. And follow me on Spotify if you guys could. I'm out, guys. Peace.